What is up? This is Dragon Slayer, and I am streaming live on Twitch. Welcome to our daily grind. In this video, I am playing with Visual Script. And let me get this out of the way now. The name of this game engine. So, if you're a pro, then you'll probably call it Godot, the Godot engine, and Godot for noobs like me. So that said, this is the Godot engine 3.2. You can make games with it. It is open source. So if you make a game and you sell that game, you do not owe the creators and designers of the Godot engine any money. No royalties needed. Pretty neat tool. And I've been kind of interested in learning the Visual Script. I do know how to program. I can certainly use Visual Script, C Sharp, and that's one of the programming languages available to use with the Godot engine. They also have their own scripting language called GD Script. Haven't learned that yet, but it would probably not be an issue for me to learn it. Whatever. But kind of interested in the whole movement towards visual scripting. Essentially, instead of typing out commands as with a normal programming language or a traditional programming language like C, C++, C Sharp, Java. In Visual Script, those commands are visually represented. Pretty slick. It's a good idea. And so far, I've actually found it kind of frustrating to get this thing up and moving, to do things, to program things on my own. Although I've gone through a couple tutorials and sort of have the competences down, I really don't have the comprehension of how to do things. So the best way to gain that comprehension, once you have the competences, is to play around with it. So I'm playing with Visual Script. And of course, the classic program for any program, the first program you're probably ever going to write for any programming language is Hello World. That's what we're going to do now. So without further ado, first thing, we're going to create a root node, and we're just going to use 2D scene. So here's node 2D. We're going to go ahead and rename that as main. So it feels like a real programming language. Feels like a real program, right? Integer main, anybody, right? Void, whatever. All right. So after that, now from here we could simply, we're going to add a child node by right-clicking and selecting Add Child Node. We can also use Control plus A. Let's see. So at this point, we could create a label and go from there. But probably the better thing to do, since this is a game engine, we'll go with a canvas layer. Create that. Okay, so what the canvas layer is for user interface, right? So we have our main, which is encapsulated in this purple screen here, and the canvas layer sits on top of that, and it can contain anything that you print onto that, and the things you print onto that will not interfere with the rest of your game. It's for the user interface, for putting things up on your screen like the player's score or health or whatever it might be. Right, so we have the canvas layer, and on top of that we're going to add another child node. by right-clicking on top there. And again, I mentioned label. Okay, we have two options here. We have the label or the rich text label. I'm going to go ahead with the rich text label. And the reason I'm going with rich text label, I'll let you know here in a second. Okay, so well, first off, let's go ahead and save. This scene has never been saved. Save before running? Why, yes. Right, so good practice is to create a folder for your scenes, because you're more likely going to have one, right? In fact, we could throw canvas layer in as a scene as well, and I'll show you that just for the purpose of being complete here. But yes, we'll save main TSCN in our newly made scenes folder. There we go. We've created our program. Our program is running. Our game is running. Then we're going to go ahead and save this off. Save branch as scene. Again, in the scene folder. We don't need to do that, but we can. Then we can open this up in another area here. Right, so we have our rich text label. And we could just finish it up right here, right? Be too easy. We can use our properties. We have a text property here, and we can type into the field hello world, right? And go ahead and hit Control Save. Oops. Not sure why that came up again, but nonetheless, we have hello world. Okay, it's working there just fine. Sorry, I'm still a noob, so still getting used to all this. All right, so we have hello world up and running. That's it, right? No, we have not touched any visual scripting. Okay, so some things we can do with the rich text label. We're going to take this out. The main difference I've noticed between rich text label and the regular old label is you can do BB code. So we're going to put rich, oops, not rich. Okay, my typing sucks right now, sorry. Rich text label, not label. Okay. Go back to these properties. So one of the things we can do with this, with BB code, is we can do things like, well, let's spread this out a little bit. We can center the text. See? Not backslash there. All right, come on. I can do this. I know how to type, damn it. All right. So we can put this tag around it. Oh, it's not working. Why is it not working? I don't know. Maybe because we haven't enabled the BB code. There we go. So now the label is centered within the bounds the bounds of this box here. And we could do things like change the color, and you can go ahead and look up Godot engine along with BB code, and it'll bring up a list of all the ones you can use here. Oops, color, we'll say equals green. And we don't necessarily need to put this in, but it's probably best practice to end it. Right, so rich text label is now green. So we run it, and there you see we have our rich text label as green. Okay, we can do a better job of centering this. Right, we can bring out the grid here, stick it on the grid using what this button here makes it use grid snap. Nice handy tool there. So again, run it, and we have the rich text label that's green. We're going to move it back up here for now. Right, so let's do our Hello World program in Visual Script. Pretty easy. We can go ahead and attach a script. We do not want GD script, although that's certainly an option. Native script, I'm not even sure what that is. It's probably C++, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's just another scripting language. I have no idea. Haven't looked it up yet. Sorry. So this is for Visual Script, doing Hello World in Visual Script. And okay, inherits from rich text label. That's what we want. Although we could do this in Canvas layer or in main. It's really doesn't matter. But it's probably pretty nice just to keep, if we have a script specifically for this label, it's probably better to attach a script to the label. That's my guess anyways. Could be wrong. So there's that. Okay, so this is the screen where we create our visual scripts. And notice we're here now. Instead of 2D, we're at the script tab, I guess. Right. And when you see this, it means it needs to be saved. So we're going to go ahead and save it, or it means it's been changed and hasn't been saved yet. In other words, it needs to be saved. Right. So first things first, in order to get anything to work, we will need to, new function work. All right, so we'll create a new function here. We'll call it Hello World. Okay. And then we'll create a variable and call that Hello World Text. And nice thing with variables in Visual Script, you can edit the member. I right-clicked on it and brought up this menu, and you can hit Control E. We can edit the member, brings up this window, and we are going to make this a string, and we'll fill out its value. Hello World. Yay! Okay, so we can also export this and it'll show up in our inspector. We're not going to do that for this variable though. All right, so we simply drag that out here. Click on this rich text label. And we can simply grab a property from the inspector and set the text. Right? There's other ways to do this, but this is probably the easiest and most straightforward way to do it. Notice this, the value in set text currently is rich text label. So we'll go ahead and put in our own value, Hello World, in there now. And then we just connect this up, hit Control Save, run it. Oh wait, it didn't do anything. Why is that? All right, so let me go ahead and click on the Add Nodes. We want a comment node. Comments matter, right? I haven't seen anyone with a tutorial up that goes over using comments. It's probably the wrong answer. Okay, so in the comment, we will say define hello world function. Too easy, right? This works to organize your code. It's a very handy feature. Organize your code and let you know what you're doing there. We're defining hello world. So, what about declaring our function? If you are a C++ programmer, you'll know that you have a section where you declare your function and then a section where you define your functions. And that's kind of the strategy we're using here. So we can drag out hello world. And now we have the declaration. Okay. And again, we'll go ahead and add a comment. Where we'll say declare functions. All right, still at this point, we do not have everything we need yet. We still need one more thing. As you can see, not working yet. And that is, this is probably the most important part, right? We need to set it in motion. We need to hook it in to the actual game engine, right? How do we hook our code in so that the game engine runs it? And we click on the override an existing built-in function. And we're looking for ready. Now this isn't the only function we could accomplish this with. We could also use process, but there is a difference in the way those run. Ready's probably the better choice here. Okay, so just hook those two together. We've got the ready function, and we have our handmade hello world function. We go ahead and save, Control S, hit the F5 button to run it, and now we have hello world. Right? So there it is, hello world. Now, that is not the end. We can quit here. If that's all you needed, then free to go, right? But I do have some other things I wanted to knock out. So, what if we want to change the color of the text? Okay, so we're going to create another function. We'll call this, all right, we left click on the little pencil looking thing here. Change text color. Okay, so we have the function, drag this down here, and then drag this out here. Again, up here we're declaring functions. Right? And so down here we're defining the functions. Let's bring out another comment. Right, so we're going to create another variable. And this is really cool, actually. I like this little bit here a lot. We'll call this color text color. Okay, again, I'll just hit Control E to bring up the editing variable. We can set this to type color. Pretty slick, right? And we can choose the value in here. We'll go with something like this here. Nice bright yellow for all my color blind friends. Okay. And that should be good. Now we have a color. Notice these numbers here. 0.94 blah 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 comma 0.97 blah 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 comma 0.41 blah blah blah. Right, so pretty sure these are just the float values, the representations of the RGB. Could be wrong, but I assume that's the case. And so we'll just drag this guy in here. Again, this is a get property for the text color variable. We also could control click and pull that out to get the set text color. Okay, so we have your getters and your setters, but we don't need that. What we do need, or what we can do, is again with the pull this set text property out here, but we don't want set text. We want to set the color for the text. So we can click on the set text, click on the property for text, and what we want is the modulate function, set modulate. So there's the set modulate function, or setter. Just connect that. But before we do that, okay, the color in here, we don't need this technically. We could just set it from here. Okay, so it's red. And we connect it, and now it's the color we chose. So how do we know what the color we chose is? All right, well, too easy. I mentioned to you that we can export the values of our variables over into the inspector. Let's go ahead and do that now. Not like that, like this. Okay, so export, check that, and now our color is one of our script variables in our inspector. And we can change it at will up there, right? So we'll go ahead and connect the change text color over to the set modulate, the setter function. We've got our variable connected. Come back up here to our declarations. All these are connected. Save it, run it, and now our hello world text is our color. Yellowish. Right. So far so good. What if we want to change the scale of our text? Well, technically, we're not changing the scale of the text. We're changing the scale of the rectangle. But effectively, that's going to be the same thing. By changing the scale of a rectangle, we're going to be changing the scale of our text. So let's go ahead and do that. You might have an idea of what we're going to do next. We're going to create a function. And we will call this change text scale. Okay. Bring this down here. Bring out another comment. Too easy, right? And we'll go ahead and write in description, change the scale of the text. So we have our comment. And then we'll come back up here and pull this change text scale function out. So now we have our declaration. Now, probably better to pull this out a little bit. All right, so it's kind of hard to see because of the comments around here, but you notice these large grid boxes here, I'm lining them up to the corners, right? With ones that are bigger than the box, what I tend to do, and this is really just the style I've been working on to make it look better, is to take up two, just kind of put in the middle of two of the boxes, connect that in, and then put the next one at the left, right? Actually, this one probably goes a little bit outside that too. So we'll just put this one in the middle. Right. And again, pretty much I'm going to use the same type of thing all throughout here. Function, variables, and setters, or whatever other actions or functions you want to put in there. If we have flow control, like switch statements or if statements, it's going to be to the left here. We're going to have our variables down here, or it's going to be to the right of the function name. Okay. So again, zoom back in. So we're changing the scale of the text. Too easy, right? We'll create a variable. Well, first, let's go ahead and click on Rich Text Label, and let's bring out the property. Okay, so this property for set rect scale is 1, 1. That means there's two variables, right? Or two values, x and y. X is 1, y is 1. That is the default. So what we're going to do is go ahead and create another variable. See a pattern here? We'll call this one text scale values. Again, I realize that it's actually the rect scale values, but it's rect. I get it, but what we're using it for is to change the scale of the text. And this works. Again, probably better ways to do this, but this works. So, right, we'll connect those over. Of course, that's really not going to help because we haven't set the values. So let's go ahead and hit Control E. And you can right click and select the option, or you can just hit Control E. I like shortcuts. Who doesn't? So right now our value is null. Text scale values equals null. We don't want that, of course. We want to select vector 2. And we'll say 4. Right? So this is going to make the text 4 times the size of what it is now. Okay. So again, it was at 1, 1, and now we're going to have it at 4, 4. So that is complete. Come back up here, make sure that it is hooked up. Right, so everything's hooked up to my ready function, my hello world function, my change text color, my change text scale function. Hit Control Save, run it, and now we have hello world with big old letters. Probably better fonts to use than the default, right? When it gets to 4 times the size, the letters become a little pixelated, so there's probably better options for that. Potentially better ways to do this. But again, just real simple, real easy. Let's knock it out. One more thing. Well, 2 more things, actually. What if we want to reposition our text? And really what we're saying is we're repositioning the rich text label. But the effect is we're going to reposition our text. So let's create another function. And we will call that change text position. Okay, one thing real quick. The standard for writing functions is to in Visual Script, I guess, and probably in GD Script as well, is put an underscore before the function name. As a programmer, I'm pretty used to doing it this way, so I'm just going to continue doing it that way. And of course, with the variables, with the function names, we're going to capitalize the first word. In the variable names, we're going to not capitalize the first word in the name. So, again, click on that, bring up our inspector for rich text label, and we're going to grab position this time. Let's go ahead and hook these two together. We're going to create a variable. Again, we're looking for two numbers here. And those two numbers are floats. So we could very well just make two numbers here. We can make X and Y variables, or we can simply hit Control E, create a vector 2, and now we have X and Y in our variable. And for this, we're going to go, I need about 350. For the other one, we're going to go 250. And again, probably not the best practice. There's other ways to get this number that would be better, I think, right? We could get the width of the game screen and the height of the game screen and divide it by 2 and do happy stuff like that. But for quick and dirty, we're just going to do this because, well, frankly, I already know the height and width, or the width and height. And you can, if you're wondering, you can go into the project settings right here at the top, project settings, and where is it? No, not debug, rendering, display. Okay, we're looking for display window. Here's the width and the height, 1024 by 600. Right, so knowing that, we could just do a quick and dirty. Bring this, oops, we haven't renamed our new variable yet. So we'll call this one text position values. While I'm thinking about it, add nodes, comment, open, bring this out. Again, change the position of the text. Right, let's connect this over here. Now we have the values that we want. Come back up here. Oh, we did not declare the function yet. So let's drag the change text position function out. Okay. Well, first off, let's run it without connecting it. Here we are. Well, the world's still stuck in the top corner there. Now we connect it after we finish defining it. And now we're roughly in the center of the screen. Hello world. All right, so again, we could finish up there. We've created a Hello World program. We've changed the text color. We've changed the scale of the text, and we've changed the position of the text for a game screen. One other thing I want to do. All right, so we have an output screen down here, as well as a console running in the background. For this, take a real quick look maybe. Yes, console, right? So what if I want to do some quick and dirty debugging and print some statements out to the console in the middle of one of my functions, right? Just real quick and dirty debugging, that's pretty standard for when you're doing computer programming. Put a print statement in the middle of a function and see if your program is calling that function, or print out some variables to see what their value are in a function. to figure out where things are going wrong, something along those lines. Quick and dirty debugging. So can we do that here? Of course, right? So let's create another function. We will call this one hello, not hello, hello world console. Yeah, so we're going to print to the output or print to the console, right? Bring this guy down here. Add nodes. Where's my comments at? Go. Print text to the console. Let's come back up here real quick and declare it. Hello world console. All these are longer than whatever. Let's hook it up. Come back down. We can expand the screen a little bit here. Now we have some more room to work with, but actually we don't want that right now. Well, it doesn't really matter because we're not going to be pulling any, for the last, 4 functions, we have pulled properties from the rich text label to do our work. This time we're going to do something a little different. Okay, so we already have the variable we need. We're going to print hello world to the console, right? So bring that in, and then forget. Sorry. Oh, there it is. So we have a number of choices here. We have the print and the print error. Print the given string to the standard error output. But for our purposes, we could just use print. Too easy, right? Okay, so we bring up the print here. We hook in the value that we want. And we hook in the function. Come back up here. Make sure it's all hooked up. And so this time, it will print down to the output, right? As well as everything else. So, save. And we have hello world. We've got hello world here and hello world here. So we printed to the console. We printed to the screen. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. I did mention we can use process here. Let's take a look at that real quick. Oops, I did not want to do that. So let's bring in process. There's physics process, which you'll no doubt use for your games, but you can also use just a regular process. And process is called every frame. So let's disconnect, put these in. Now let's save, print. Oh look, hello world is being repeatedly printed to the output. That's weird. Like I said, this is called every frame. This one's called at the beginning when you initialize program. So for the purpose of this program, for the hello world program, it is a better choice. The ready is the better choice as opposed to process. Again, you'll get the job done with process, but this is the better choice. Again, only prints hello world to the output once. That's what we wanted. Perfect. Okay. So let's get rid of this bad boy. Oops. Delete selected. Gotta be careful with that. You don't want to delete anything else. Let's make sure we're good here. So hello world. Let's go back and look at our original 2D layout here. Oh, it's still there. I'm just colorblind. Haha. Rich text label. Still there, right? And in fact, if we disconnect this guy, save, and we're going to go ahead and print now, rich text label. So, too easy. That's how the hello world, this is the basic hello world for Visual Script in Godot. Again, if you're pro, you'll call it Godot. If you're a noob like me, you could call it Godot. Doesn't really matter. People know what you're talking about, assuming they've heard of this game engine. I like it. I also like, I really like these comments here. Why is there no comment there? Damn it. Always comment, right? So let's come back here real quick. What do we do here? We're changing the text color. Change the color of the text. And I mean, seriously, I've seen a lot of spaghetti code when it comes to visual scripting. I mean, literally spaghetti code. And I mean, it gives new definition to the term spaghetti code. And a lot of that can be solved by commenting properly and, I mean, just breaking your problem down into the smallest parts. So, again, that's it. That'll wrap it up. Thank you, Twitch viewers. Appreciate y'all. Dragon Slayer out.